Welcome back to The Everyday Stoic. I'm William Mulligan, and today's video is about Apatheia. What is Apatheia? Apatheia is a Greek term that loosely translates into without passion and suffering. So the Stoics valued Apatheia as a good, as a state of mind to strive towards, ultimately meaning that most Stoic practices come down to Apatheia. The work towards a virtuous life, the journey to eudaimonia, is fueled by a state of Apatheia, and the Stoics argued that this is characterized as the sage. Now, just to quickly explain, that eudaimonia can be translated to human flourishing. It's living your best life. So what is the sage? The sage in classical philosophy is someone that has attained wisdom. It can be interchangeably used to describe a virtuous person or even just a good person. Aristotle claimed that virtue was found within the golden mean between excess and deficiency. Aristotle viewed courage as a virtue, but courage in excess can lead to recklessness, and in deficiency can lead to cowardice. The Stoics believed that living virtuously provided freedoms from the passions, and this would ultimately lead to Apatheia. Apatheia is a component of the eudaimonic life. A Stoic who performs with correct judgment as part of the world's order experiences a feeling of contentment and being passionless. So passionless sounds like a negative thing to strive towards, but the Stoics had a different view on this. So the passions can be broken down into healthy passions and unhealthy passions. So healthy passions would be discretion, willingness, and delight, and unhealthy passions would be things such as pain, fear, and craving. So passions were actually not an automatic response, they were actually a result of human judgment. So the focus is not on the automatic response, it's on the thing that comes after the automatic response, the thing that is within our control. So things that are under our control are our judgment and our reactions, and what Aurelius called the ruling faculty, which is known in the modern landscape as the executive function of the brain. So Seneca discussed the journey to eudaimonia, stating that pain is slight if opinion has added nothing to it. In thinking it is slight, you will make it slight. Everything depends on opinion, ambition, luxury, greed. They all hark back to opinion. It is according to opinion that we suffer. So let us also win the way to victory in all our struggles. For the reward is virtue, steadfastness of soul, and a peace that is won for all time. So Apatheia is a shift away from negative emotion towards positive emotion. It therefore yields ataraxia, which is a sense of tranquility that comes from developing an attitude of equanimity towards whatever the world throws at us. So when we look at or analyse Apatheia, ataraxia then becomes relevant. So achieving Apatheia, like achieving ataraxia, was a common goal. But the difference is that unlike Apatheia, ataraxia was not the ultimate goal. It was instead viewed as a byproduct, as a positive consequence of the ultimate goal, which is to live a virtuous life. Apatheia is integral to the Stoic sage in order to achieve a state of ataraxia, because the Stoic sage does not care about matters outside of their control and is not susceptible to emotions as a result of the state of Apatheia. They cannot be disturbed by anything, meaning that they are in a state of mental tranquility and thus in a state of ataraxia. So when we consider this thought of rationality and performing to the correct judgment, a thought that many Stoics consider, Apatheia becomes a manifestation. It becomes a result of our own actions. So under this context, it then links the Stoic ethics with the cosmology. So Stoic cosmology is the understanding of the way the world works and the function that it carries out. When we start to grasp the concept of Stoic cosmology, we start to understand our function in the world. So the Stoics viewed the world the same way we view a factory. Everything is ordered and has a dictated end. Everything works towards that, and it works cohesively towards that. So when we start to view the world the way the Stoics viewed it, we start to understand that we have a function within the world. The goal of the Stoics to live in accordance with nature, we start to understand what that means and our place within that nature. So when we live in accordance with nature, we reach a state of apatheia. So that means that the Stoic sage is someone that lives in accordance with nature. So to sum apatheia up, it is the state of mind that is achieved by the Stoic sage when they live in accordance with nature. They follow the moral and ethical precepts of the world in which we live, striving for eudaimonia, working towards virtue. As Epictetus stated, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself, and in no instance bypass the discrimination of reason? So I will just finish the video off with answering a few questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. So, when did you discover Stoicism and what were your initial thoughts? I first discovered Stoicism through the book, The Meditations. I actually didn't know it was Stoicism when I was reading the book. Someone recommended me Meditations. I read it and I thought, this is amazing. This way of living, the way this man thinks is just a great way to be. It reminded me of the If poem by Rudyard Kipling, which is my favourite poem, and I see that as a great guide to being a good person. But yeah, I read the book and didn't think much of Stoicism, but then I started looking more into the book and learning about Marcus Aurelius, who wrote the book, and it led me to Stoicism. And my initial thoughts were simplicity. I think it just showed how simple living the good life was, and it just showed simplicity in being a good person and simplicity of being happy. It really broke things down, made it simple, and that's what I love about Stoicism. So yeah, that's a really good question. Hopefully this video gave you a better understanding of the word apatheia. It's a word that frequently pops up in Stoic circles or in Stoic text, Stoic literature. If you follow a lot of Stoic Instagram pages, you might see the word apatheia written quite a lot, and I just wanted to give you that understanding, so then when you see the word pop up in a quote or in some explanation someone's given, it just gives you a better understanding of what they are referring to.